Welcome to Winter Namm 2021. We're excited to have you here with us. While disappointed we can't visit in person, we're glad to show you what Breedlove is all about. Guitars are our absolute pride and joy, the passion in our lives. Here's a look at the sound optimization process for our made-in-bend guitars. It's in our DNA across the line. Let's get started. Sound optimization. Why do Breedlove guitars sound so good? At Breedlove, art, inspiration, science, and craft merge in a process we call sound optimization. Sustainable, clear-cut free, made-in-bend models are individually hand-voiced, with experienced luthiers meticulously tapping and analyzing variable, carefully milled exotic tone woods, sanding to weight and shaving away tiny, fragrant curls as they target specific, consistent frequencies that will make each unique instrument sound its very best. Tops, backs, and sound holes are specifically tuned to one another to create light, responsive guitars with superior tone, projection, and sustain. The same research and commitment is applied to the solid-topped, designed-and-bend instruments, which, while not hand-voiced, afford similar quality tone, finish, and construction at affordable prices. Sound optimization. You will sound better, and play more on a Breedlove. Greetings, everybody. We're behind the scenes here at Breedlove in the workshop in beautiful Bend, Oregon. We are going to learn about the sound optimization process. This is a really cool technique that we use to make our guitars sound better than we ever thought possible. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing?
Morning. How are we?
Good. So this is the sound optimization room. Am I right?
That is correct.
I'm in the right spot?
This is where they all start, right in here.
Okay, this is really cool. So we're deep inside, behind the scenes of the custom shop in Bend, Oregon, and we're going to learn about sound optimization.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, what's going on?
So, as you can see on this shelf here, they all start in a somewhat raw form. These are all top sets on the shelf.
These are all guitar tops right here?
These are all guitar tops one day, just not, right
wow,
away.
There's a ton.
We got a lot of stuff here, but yeah.
And they appear to be sorted by maybe different species, by different sizes. What's going on with this sorting?
That is correct. It is mostly a species sort, but we also do mess with stuff like you said with body shapes, and so we know what's going to work for what.
Okay. So you're cataloging all this wood, you're sorting all this wood in here, and this is the wood that we're talking about. These are the tops and backs.
After Ian pulls the raw top, he'll go sand it to a uniform thickness. That's what you're looking at right here. This is an Adirondack spruce top that's all been sanded to 170 thousandths to get us started. Okay,
I don't know what that means, but it sounds pretty. It sounds pretty impressive.
That's 0.17 inches.
All right, so we're sanding. Why are you sanding these guitar to a certain thickness? What's going on with that? What does that mean?
So we do it so that well, first of all, we want a uniform thickness so we can get a really good measurement of the top set's resonance, which we'll get into here in a little bit. And we're gonna how we figure out what's gonna make the most sense for sound optimization is we enter in all the data points. So in addition to getting the uniform thickness, he's also going to get the weight behind us here. I'm going to go ahead and flip this scale on. He's going to weigh a top set as well. He's going to measure the length and the width of that. And then there's a couple more data points that we enter to try to figure out exactly what final thickness we want to sand all these tops to.
Okay, so every single piece of wood that comes into the workshop here, you guys start at the very beginning. You do some analysis. You take these pieces of wood and you start to test them so you can understand the inherent qualities of this piece of wood.
Correct.
So you're studying the weight.
Yeah.
You're studying the density.
Exactly.
The flex, all of these things, right?
Absolutely correct. Because I mean, even though a lot of these wood sets are the same size, might even come from the same log, there's lots of variability in the wood. The grain's going to be different. It means the wood's going to behave differently. So we're going to try to measure a lot of this stuff to figure out what makes the most sense to where we're going to sand this top to, and just try to make it sound as good as possible.
Well, I think that's the key word there. So you talked about variability, and let's talk about variability a little bit for folks at home. When we think about a tree that's growing in the forest, that tree can be very, very different from the bottom of the tree all the way to the top, and that density can change And the different qualities of that tree can change up to, I've heard 30%.
I've heard the same thing, yeah.
So 30% variation in one tree.
Right.
And that's not even, you know, identifying maybe tree to tree, just so much variability.
Not to mention species to species. I mean, obviously, they're different from species to species. But, so we get different targets for how thick we're going to sand these tops to on every piece of wood. So no two guitars are the exact same. Because no two pieces of wood are the exact same.
So we're gonna take every single wood set. It's gonna come in. You guys are gonna study it. You're gonna learn about the inherent qualities of that specific piece of wood, so you can identify how you need to treat that as you build this guitar.
Okay. So we've checked everything so far in terms of dimensions, but there's one last bit here that we're gonna show you that we haven't checked. We're gonna check the resonance of these top sets.
Okay.
So we use this microphone that he's got there by his mouse, and this program here to measure resonance. What he's going to do is he's going to get it to record him. He's going to hold it just like that and give it a tap.
Tap that one more time for me, would you?
Okay.
You're going to tap it there. The microphone's going to read it, and then you're going to get a reading up here. Give me one more tap just so I can show folks at home what this looks like when you get a reading.
Yeah.
So you tap it.
Yeah, give it one more. It's harder than it looks. There are sometimes where you'll give it a good tap, and you know, you gotta hold it in just the right spot so that the wood kind of vibrates in your hand.
Gotcha. So you start to get these readings, and you're looking at these different peaks. You're starting to read these graphs and understand the inherent qualities of this piece of wood.
What it's doing there is it's measuring the resonance of the length of this piece of wood and the height. We enter all that stuff in, including all those dimensions we talked about.
Yeah.
And we get an idea of where we think this top should land when it's done.
So every single piece of wood that's coming in here, you do this analysis, you understand the inherent qualities, and then you record all that data.
And we print it out on these little labels so that the guys can see going forward exactly where we need to sand it to. So these three things we have on the left here are actually kind of designating which body shape it's going to be.
Gotcha.
So we decided this one is going to be a more heavy player or a strumming guitar. So that for this body shape, for this exact piece of wood, that's how thick we're going to sand the top to. That's 96 thousandths of an inch.
Wow. So when you do this analysis, you understand all these different properties, but you also can start to understand what this piece of wood really wants to be, even from a playing style.
Right, exactly.
We're
thinking about it more than just, you know, we don't do anything to spec, so it'll change. That number would have changed if we were trying to make it into a more versatile instrument like our concert body shape, or a finger stylus like our concertina.
Okay, and then you start to take this guitar and you start to build it. And folks, if you'd like to see the build process, we go through that in a lot of detail actually in another video, which is a live tour of the Breedlove workshop. But you arrive at a point where the guitar the top has been put together, it's been braced, it has this bracing. Talk to me about this part of the process. What happens next?
So, like you said, the guitar's been braced, but when you add all those braces and the bridge plate and all this other stuff, you're going to add a lot of changes to that flex in the wood, right?
Gotcha.
What we do is we put that top and the back, we do it to the back as well, in this mold over here.
Okay.
The mold simulates how the top's going to behave when it's glued onto its sides. And we're going to measure it again to make sure everything seems like it's right on target, and we're probably going to make a couple little changes to it.
Okay, let's check it out.
So again, it's going to be a tone tap here with the microphone and the little rubber mallet thing.
Okay, so we're going to take this microphone, we're going to tap this guitar.
Right on the bridge plate,
Ooh.
And he'll get another big old peak that you can see there.
Yep.
Wow. And you can feel that, you know, folks, you probably couldn't hear that as well as on these small microphones, but you can feel that tap in your chest. It's like this resonance that bounces in your chest when he hits it.
That's exactly what we're measuring and trying to figure out and put right where we want it. So he just measured that, I think I saw at 144 hertz. Our target is a little lower than that. So what we want to do is give this top a little bit more flex than it currently has. Those braces stiffened it up a little bit more than we'd like.
These are real stiff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they keep that top from moving, which is going to create the vibration. Okay.
But so what he's going to try to do right now is actually give it more flex, which means taking some material out of the bottom scallop of that X brace, right there where he's drawing his finger along. He's going to use a chisel and
pull some out of there.
Take some material.
Nice and easy.
And you just do it right there by hand. Just grab a chisel and just...
Yep. It's the only way to really do it.
Wow.
most accurate way you possibly can. Right?
This is wild.
Yeah. We'll take out a little bit.
He's flipping it around so you can kind of meet those two cuts right in the middle so that nothing starts to break down the wrong direction or anything like that.
Yeah.
They'll generally do it to both sides to try to keep it even.
Yeah.
You can see it's a little painstaking, and it's definitely a little bit of pressure goes into it because it's a very sharp object you're putting on the inside of this guitar. But
a little nerve-wracking, but you get used to it.
yeah, you do.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, so you've removed a little bit of that material. You've made that brace less structurally stable and
Now
strong.
he's going to measure it again and see exactly what that did there.
Let's hit it again. Okay.
Let's see.
Oh yeah, he's
Drop
moving
down.
down to right about on target.
Right there, 140.
So that little bit of material you removed, you just tuned that top so it's
Just a
right
skosh.
where you want it.
Exactly, right.
Okay, and then you do that to the back as well. You're going to tune the back.
We do. We try to tune the back and top to kind of relate to one another. So we have targets for both. The targets change depending on body shape and stuff like that.
I see.
But yeah, so after he's done there, he'll just clean it up with some sandpaper so there's no rough edges on the inside. He'll do the same thing to the back and then send it back out to get built.
Well, I guess you have to tune the top and the back because if you don't, if they're working in two different frequencies, those frequencies could cancel each other out.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that they operate in cooperation with one another, right? And make sure that, you know, when we tune this, we don't just send the back through on spec. We want them to interact with each other properly.
Gotcha.
So that's really what's important.
And every single guitar that we make here in Bend goes through this process.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of work.
Yes, sir.
And so these guitars are kind of awaiting their moment.
Yeah,
to be,
these are more
to be analyzed.
that are getting ready to be chiseled a little bit.
Okay, okay. So you put them together, you have the top, you have the back, you tune them, and then you're going to build the box, so to speak.
Yep.
We've shown that process if you watch a live tour video,
Right.
But we show the process of making the box. You put it together, and then are you done? That's it?
Oh, we got lots more to show you here. So
right,
I'll grab
let's
a
check it
body and I'll bring it in here and I'll show you guys what we do next.
Okay, so this is just phenomenal. I mean, that's amazing to see you just kind of tune that in real time, and to see the results expressed in a scientific way is pretty amazing.
So here's a finished body. It's all bound up,
Okay.
all glued up, ready to be inspected, and it's going to go through a little bit of sound optimization as well.
Okay.
Just to double check that we're on track with where we want to be.
Because you've added bracing, you've added the sides, you've changed
a lot.
You've introduced variables to this,
Right.
this whole
yeah.
process, right?
Right. So we're going to check it out now that it's all together. Top and back.
So
You can
see
hear
here
the difference in the two on the taps.
Absolutely. Yeah, we want to tap both sides so we get a measurement of the top and back, which is what you're looking at with these two peaks here. You'll also see a third thing showed up now that we have closed the box and it's a finished body. We call this one the fundamental resonance. So that's the resonance of the entire body, not just the top or the back. That's kind of also showing, again, how these two are interacting with each other.
Gotcha.
And another thing we'll check here is to make sure that the separation, which is really important when it comes to our sound optimization process, is on target. So I'm looking at 194 and 224. That's a difference of 30, and he's got a concert in his hands. This is the second time in a row where we've tested it, and it was literally perfect. So we're doing something right. There are changes we could make to this instrument in terms of the bracing on the inside, even with the box closed.
If you needed to.
If we needed to,
Okay.
but luckily we've nailed the process enough in the beginning that we're not going to need to get in there with the chisel or sandpaper or anything, which makes it a lot easier on us and obviously avoids any problems, because those things can come up when you get in there with sharp tools.
Well, that's super cool. So you've gone through the process, you've analyzed all of the wood from the very beginning, you've studied it to understand the inherent qualities and how you need to treat it in the build, even the play style that it could be. And then you have built a top with bracing, and you've analyzed this, you've carved away the bracing if necessary, you've built the box, put it together, done further analysis to understand that it's right where it needs to be,
Yes.
and then you're done.
Now we got one more thing.
One more step.
We got to keep checking on it and making
That's
sure
right.
that we're on target and that nothing strange happened, because you know this is just the body. There's a lot more parts that go onto this thing that can change.
Oh, you're gonna put a bridge on. You're gonna put on
Correct.
a finish.
Even the neck getting attached is going to change the numbers a little bit. Like these numbers that you just saw are not going to be what the final numbers are. It changes. We just want to make sure we stay on target throughout the whole build process.
So let's check it out.
That's
let's see
where we're
the
going to go
final stuff.
next. We're back in the final inspection area. You guys might have seen in the tour video.
Yeah. So
And
this is the sound optimization final check station, right?
Yes, sir.
This is a magical little room. This is where all the guitars get to sing their first song, play their first note, be heard for the first time.
Yeah.
Really cool room.
So they'll be checked for all the normal stuff, obviously, throughout the build process. But
Right.
we also check for sound optimization as well to make sure, again, nothing too crazy happened when they put on the neck and all the bridge and all the hardware and all that stuff.
So I see a Jeff Bridges signature organ model right there. What if we were to test that one?
You
If
can
we
grab
were,
that
Sure,
and
let's
test
do
it.
it. So same thing as we did with the unfinished body. We'll tap it on both sides.
so this guitar will be tapped.
And
And now
he's gonna
you
get
have
similar readings again. So he's got the reading of the top, the reading of the back, and this fundamental down here. That's the resonance of the entire instrument. And you can see it's a similar pattern, but these numbers
Sure.
did move around a little bit, I'll guarantee it, from where we measured it when it was still in whitewood.
And so if you're watching all this, I think, you know, an inherent question you're going to have is why do all this work? What's the point? You know, this is a lot of work to do with these guitars. And my assumption would be that it's consistency in the sound,
Exactly,
right?
right. We're trying to take out variability of the wood to make the end product as consistent as possible.
Yeah. Because I'm a guitar player, you guys are guitar players. I think we understand the experience when you're trying to find a guitar. You go to a guitar store.
Absolutely.
You play 1, 2, 3, however many of the same model, and you realize that they can all be a little different, right?
It just sometimes it just seems random. So it probably had something to do with the wood set itself, and I don't know if it got analyzed as much as we're doing it here to try to figure out what made the most sense for that piece of wood. It probably was just built into a guitar from the get-go without any thoughts as to like
right.
what made the most sense for it.
Well, we talked about variability a little bit and
Yeah.
the fact that trees can vary up to 30% with the qualities of the tone wood. So if you just build a guitar and you have a spec and you say we cut all the pieces of wood to one spec and you treat it as such, you're going to throw these guitars together and you're going to have 30% variance in your final sound of your guitar, right?
A lot of them are going to sound different. And you'll get lucky sometimes, you'll get unlucky sometimes. We're trying to eliminate both of those things and shoot for, get as close to it as possible.
So every guitar that you make, therefore, based on the type of tone wood, based on the body shape, you have target numbers that you want to hit. These are numbers that you've researched and identified. You hit those numbers every time.
And the last
then
thing we'll
what
do
is
is
this?
record a lot of this stuff for the consumer. So it's got standard stuff on it. We call it a guitar portrait. It's got pretty standard stuff like a model and a play style and a serial number. But you can see we also weigh the instrument. At one point we will use a magnet ball to check the thickness of the top set of wood and the thickness of the back. We'll also write down these final frequencies that we got from our microphone over here. So you'll see we got a place here for the top frequency, the back frequency, and that fundamental.
Fundamental frequency,
fundamental
right?
frequency of the entire instrument. And all this information goes on every card, goes with every guitar that gets shipped out.
This
the
is
door.
amazing.
Yes.
And this sound optimization process, you know, I know that all these different tone woods, they all have really unique qualities. Some of them are so dense that they sink in water.
Sure.
Some are really light.
Right.
So this allows you to really understand how to get the most out of those tone woods as well, right?
And yeah, and on the upside too, you know, we're not just doing this stuff and then moving on. We're recording all of this
All the
for
data.
our own sake,
Sure.
so that we can constantly use this to improve the process, make things sound better, make little changes here and there to make the whole thing go smoother and sound smoother at the end of the day.
Well, and I know that it's also an R&D part of the process
Right.
for Breedlove. I mean, we have revolutionary body shapes. So this is a concerto. It's based off the concert shape, but it's larger and it would replace a standard dreadnought. It's big and boomy. But sound optimization was used to actually do the research and development to build this model, right?
Exactly, right.
And
So we
so
use it in more ways than you can probably imagine. There's all sorts of things we can use this data for. So.
And I remember a story when you guys were engineering this body shape, you were building these and you were using the same sound hole that we'd use on our concert.
Right.
Your resonant frequency wasn't hitting.
It was off a little bit, so we decided, well, one thing that we can change is how much airflow is able to get out, so change the sound hole size, which is exactly what we did here.
So you shrunk the sound
right.
hole. So this whole sound optimization process gives you data for engineering as well as
right. It's not
consistency.
just about, you know, the top thickness. It can help us learn lots of different stuff about all the instruments that we build. So.
Well, this is super cool. I want to thank you guys for taking some time to walk us through this process this
fun.
morning. Folks, if you want to catch some more videos here, you can check out the tour that Eric gave us of the custom shop where we build the guitar from start to finish. That's a pretty cool one as well. And yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.